So, dear Pia de Castillo, dear ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to welcome all of you to our BEREC Stakeholder Forum meeting at this impressive venue. And if you compare the setting of our meeting of last year, so there has something changed. And looking around, I'm glad to see so many of you for our first edition of the BEREC Stakeholder Forum meeting. I see it as a proof of evidence for our ongoing fruitful exchange of views with stakeholders. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude for your participation and contribution to our work in the past, today, and with a future perspective. And I promise to be brief with opening remarks, although I know that this kind of promises at the beginning of a speech is usually rather raising doubts than expectations. Well, however, I want to ensure that we have sufficient time to focus on the substantial issues of our meeting today, as we are interested to hear your views and perspectives. First of all, we are looking forward to our contribution and thoughts with a view to the BEREC Work Programme for next year. And secondly, we are looking forward to your views and reflections with regard to the highly interesting roundtable discussions on our agenda for today. Starting with the connectivity challenge, we will then move on to the new opportunities for innovation in times of a fast-changing digital environment. I'm pretty sure that both discussions are perfectly matching with the current major debate in the European telecoms world, the Commission's review proposals intending to shape the digital future of Europe and its citizens. BEREC is committed to continuing taking an active part, an open-minded, constructive part, and to provide regulatory input with a view to the debate and the further legislative process. In keeping my promise, I would now like to hand over to Sebastian to present the draft BEREC Work Programme for 2017. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Willy. Dear all, I'm very happy to see you all today. Top-level representatives from companies, from telecom operators, industrial companies, digital companies, from the European Parliament, European Commission, European institutions, regulators, and so forth. As Willy introduced this speech, first I will present you the work program of BEREC. I will try to do this in 10 minutes. Let's say 12 minutes. So, first of all, I think that we first have to look back a little bit on our common history. Yes, history. After almost 20 years of regulation, Europe has achieved what I consider to be our greatest strength. Competition. I know this is not original, but I really mean it. All over Europe, operators are competing against each other to provide Europeans with networks and services, matching their current and future needs. And nowadays, we can confidently claim that the opening of the telecom market to competition was, in most cases, a great success. And let me tell you that BEREC has an important contribution to this success, making national experts experts. Two words are important. Work together. People concretely involved in day-to-day regulation allowed us to become more efficient by sharing best practices and defining common approaches on major issues such as net neutrality. But this is not the end of the story, and now we have to look at the new challenges. And as the European institutions are setting new political objectives for the telecom sector, I strongly believe that more than ever, national regulators and BEREC can help Europe to face these new challenges. We can be part of the solution. And actually, with its 2017 work program, BEREC is already committed to work on carrying out the top priorities identified by European institutions. Let me tell you how. Well, the first priority that we are, now it's a kind of buzzword, is connectivity. Sorry for that. But before telling you things about connectivity, I would like to recall a proverb. I would like to share this with you. The person who really wants to do something finds a way. The other finds an excuse. And when it comes to connectivity, to be honest, nowadays, we are hearing many excuses. Regulators are bad. Net neutrality rules are too tough. OTTs are competing with in an unfair way. Merger control policy is bad, and so forth, and so forth. Excuses. Let's talk about solutions. Let's try to find a way. I think that BEREC can really be committed in that we really can to try to build some kind of pro-investment doctrine. That is already what we are doing in the fixed connectivity. You know that BEREC has issued last year a very interesting report, a report assessing the state of NGA, Next Generation Access rollout in several member states and investigating the main challenges and drivers to such rollout. I really invite you to read this report. This is very interesting. And next year, in 2017, the BEREC will continue its work by carrying out a comprehensive assessment of the need to review the common positions related to markets 3A, 3B, and 4, which are the markets related to broadband and next generation access market. This will be part of our program. That was for the fixed connectivity. Let's go to mobile connectivity. I'm sorry, the picture is a little bit small, but you can see a guy in the mountains trying to phone with its mobile phone to pass a call. Just a few years ago, mobile networks were in most member states mainly used for voice and SMS, and it was not a problem to not have the ability to pass a call in rural areas. Time has changed. Nowadays, we all wish to stay connected to internet. Mobile networks coverage has become crucial for Europeans. That is why this will be an important part of 2017's BEREC Work Programme. First, this is not a surprise to you. At BEREC, we believe that competition is, in most cases, the main driver to foster investment in mobile networks. And we regulators can even threaten incentives by making people understand that competition does not only deal with prices, but also with quality and coverage. That is why BEREC will issue next year a common position on how to monitor the coverage of mobile network for regulatory purposes, but also to inform consumers and give them the power to choose their network provider pursuant to their specific connectivity needs. As you know, competition doesn't bring a whole coverage. And we also have to work on what we call challenge areas, such as rural areas, or, for instance, inside buildings, subways. And we will also work on this next year. And more precisely, we will issue a report on how to facilitate mobile connectivity in challenge area. We certainly will propose to the RSPG, the Radio Spectrum Policy Group, our colleagues, to work with us on this item, among others. That was my first point, considering the first challenge within Europe, connectivity. The second challenge that we hear less about, to be honest, is about how to create an open environment in the digital world. Why is it so important? Because an open environment empowers end users, because an open environment empowers new entrants, because an open environment empowers innovation from all parts. You know, we have been working very much this year on net neutrality to make sure that this open environment is guaranteed at the network level, to make sure that internet can be a real common good, and that some people are not deciding about the good or the right innovations for everybody. And next year, BEREC will mainly monitor the implementation of the net neutrality rules, the regulation and the guidelines, and help NRAs share their best practices and develop net neutrality supervision tools and methods. What we have to avoid is that people are trying to build Chinese walls. And we have to make sure that innovation is possible from all parts. And this is what net neutrality rules allow and guarantee. And we have to make sure that this is also the case at the network level when it deals with innovation in the networks. And we are now on the verge of a new industrial and societal revolution called the Internet of Things. And we have to make sure that network innovations won't be the privilege of any close club of operators in Europe. NRA and BEREC should preserve an open environment for all connectivity solutions. So next year, BEREC will organize 2 workshops to further discuss the regulatory issues raised by the emergence of these new networks. On the Internet of Things technologies and their impact on regulation, this will take place at the end of January. And the other one on spectrum needs to foster innovation, and this second workshop will be, hopefully, co-organized with RSPG. Last but not least, when it deals with open environment, we have to look around. Europe secured the openness of the environment at the network level, is about to do it, is doing it. And the risk is now that bottlenecks appears at other levels of the value chain. This is not in the hand of BEREC, as you know. But we can work on this. We can analyze situations, and that is why BEREC will adopt next year a report on the impact on content markets and on devices, on fixed and mobile telecom market. The idea is to have a clear picture about where are the new bottlenecks in the digital environment. To finish, let me tell you that we are aware that, BEREC has to be more present amongst stakeholders. And this is why we organize this stakeholder forum from 4 years. And we can improve our internal process as well as the way we interact with stakeholders. So next year, in 2017, BEREC will test innovative regulatory solutions such as database regulation and open GIF solutions. I already mentioned this common position on mobile coverage monitoring. And last but not least, no, sorry. And next year we will also have the pleasure to launch a new collaborative working tool. This is something where we have been, there's some stakeholders have regretted the way that the BEREC made the consultation and public consultation, and well, that's the way we work, but we can maybe do it in a better way, so we will try something, we will see if it works. Thanks to a collaborative working tool that will be both for internal working process and external consultation process. With this new tool, BEREC will hopefully become more open to citizens and to the digital ecosystems. Last but not least, BEREC will launch next year the review of its midterm strategy for 2018-2020. As a conclusion, let me remind you Albert Einstein's advice. If you have 1 hour to find a solution, spend at least 55 minutes to well define the problem, and no more than 5 minutes to find the solution. As final word, I can assume that BEREC can be an important part of the solution, can help to find a way, and no excuses, to solve well-defined problems. Thank you for your attention.